When we work with images for the web, we'll often obtain images and place them into specific spots in our layouts. Rarely do we obtain an image that is just the right size or even honed for the right focus. We therefore usually have some processing to do for images in our sites. This can include resizing and cropping images. Both are very easy to do with Sketch. First, we need a sketch file with a canvas or artboard. This can be either a full layout mockup or just a utility artboard that gives you a working place to resize and crop your images. In a new document, you can create a new artboard at whatever size you need for working on your image. In this case, I'm going to be resizing an image down to 800 pixels wide. So I'll set my artboard to be 800 pixels wide and 600 pixels tall for now. Now I'll simply drag and drop my image into Sketch. Notice that the image appears, but it's way larger than my artboard. I need to resize it so that it fits on my artboard, at least by ensuring it's no wider than 800 pixels. With the image selected, I'll lock its width and height together. This ensures the image does not get stretched or squished by accident. Then I can set a width to 800 pixels, and the height scales proportionately. Having resized it, the image may no longer be in view because it's positioned off the artboard. We'll just reset the X and Y coordinates to 0. Now I can see the image's width. But the artboard is too short to fit the image. I'll note the image's height of about 759 pixels, and then select my artboard and resize it to match. This looks good. Let's repeat this for another image for more practice with resizing. I'll create another artboard at 800 by 600. And drag in a second image onto this artboard. I'll once again set the width to 800. This image is shorter than the artboard, so I'll again note the height and then set the artboard to match it. So we can do this for any images we simply want to resize to a certain size. But rarely will the scaled width and natural height be exactly right for our site. So in addition to resizing, we may also want to crop the image, which means we'll trim pixels off of the edges to make the image just the right size. This time I'll start with an artboard, 800 pixels by 800 pixels. And I'll drag in my third image and adjust it to fit on the 800 pixel wide artboard as I did before. Now I want to end up with an even smaller image, say 600 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall. My image is not going to fit in those dimensions. You can see this if I draw a rectangle at that desired size. So now I need to decide what portion of the image will be included. Cropping is easy to do in Sketch if I have an image in place and a rectangle drawn on top of it like this. Simply select both layers and click on the mask icon from the toolbar. They become grouped together with the rectangle acting like a frame for the image. We only see the portion of the image that is inside that frame. We can still edit each separately if needed. If I open this group and I choose a layer, I can click on it and edit it. I have the rectangle sized how I want it, so I won't mess with that layer, but I can select the image and move it around inside the frame and even resize it without affecting the frame's size. I'll enlarge it to make that nice lake more prominent, and then position it roughly in the center of the frame. Cropping like this becomes very handy for placing an image in a layout, which we'll look at more later. For now, we at least have the image isolated to the desired size and focus. With these three images resized and cropped, I now need to export them so I can use them in my web pages. Sketch is going to allow me to export these resized images right into new files, but it can be helpful to first name the layer more meaningfully for what I might need these in the site. This one is called my city shot. This one is my golden wilderness. This one is my blue lake. Note that with this last one, I renamed the cropped group. Now I can select an image and click the Make Exportable button in the lower right of the interface. This makes this layer a slice. Notice the X-Acto knife blade icon that appears on the layer image. It is set to export as a PNG file, but I can also select from other types. I like PNG for this one. There is a science to choosing file formats, but in the contemporary web, PNGs are in, and generally safe to use. I just repeat this process for each other image I will export. Now I can export each one individually using this button. But I can also export them all at once using the export feature up here. When I click this, Sketch shows me all the exportable slices or artboards I have identified. I can export all or check specific slices. When ready, click Export and Sketch asks where we want these images to be saved. If I had a site locally, I might add them directly to the Images folder, but since I'm building my site online in Codio, I'll just put them on my desktop for now. If I browse to the desktop, I now see my resized, cropped images ready to put in my website. So last of all, I need to add these files into my site pages using image tags and the source attribute. But I first need to upload them into Codio. I right-click on my Images folder and choose Upload. Then I can browse to find the files or just drag and drop them onto this box. In just a few minutes, they'll upload and be ready to use. So this is just a demonstration, and these images really don't relate to my demo site here. But let's say I want the city image on the home page. I'd open the file and add an image tag. I enter the source attribute, and then I need to enter the path from this file to the image. I'll use a document relative path to point from here to the images folder and to the city.png. If I check this page in the browser, I should see the image. Let's say the blue lake goes in the product list page. I'll open the file and add an image tag and source attribute. This time, I have to first move up a layer with the magic escalator, and then I can dive into the images folder and select the bluelake.png. Hopefully you've caught the idea here for how easy Sketch makes it to resize and crop images. Then they're much more appropriate to use in our web documents using the image tag and source attribute.